Welcome to the 50th season of Scholastic Scrimmage. Special thanks to our title sponsor, Temple St. Luke's School of Medicine.
Since 2006, the Temple St. Luke's School of Medicine has focused on cultivating local talent, with more than a third of our graduates continuing their training at St. Luke's or now working as attending physicians for our network. Learn more at souhn.org/SOM.
Additional support provided by PPL Electric, Charles H. Hoke Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the opening match of the 50th season of Scholastic Scrimmage. I'm your host, David Graff. Today's match is between Moravian Academy, who have won scrimmage 5 times in the show's history, and Emmaus High School, who have won the tournament a record 8 times. The match will be composed of 2 halves with a lightning round midway through each half. At halftime, we'll pause so the students can introduce themselves. We'll get to know them a little bit better. As a reminder, Scholastic Scrimmage requires rapid recall of specific factual information. It's not necessarily indicative of academic training. And now let's begin. Buzzers ready? Here's our first toss-up. What singer, who featured on the 2023 remix of Lizzo's song Special, released the 2022 album SOS, which included singles Snooze, Moravian?
SZA.
SZA is correct. For your bonus, what South Asian river valley was home to ancient cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro?
The Indus River.
The Indus River Valley is correct, and the Indus River is the correct river. Next toss-up question. What 2 countries, which are fighting in the ongoing Abyei conflict, separated after a 2011 referendum, and now Moravian?
Sudan and South Sudan?
That is correct, and they now have their capitals at Juba and Khartoum. For your bonus, what book, which opens with a rat being found in a family's apartment in Chicago, was the first full-length novel published by Richard Wright?
Stuart Little.
That's incorrect. Native Son is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What quantity can be measured with the Rankine scale? Emmaus.
Temperature?
Temperature is correct, and it has a minimum value of absolute 0. Your bonus will be in mathematics. Pencil and paper ready. What is the height of an equilateral triangle whose side lengths are 2, given the heights form 2 60, 30, 90 right triangles?
Square root of 3.
Square root of 3, or root 3, is correct. Next toss-up question. What man who championed the contract with America while leading a campaign to retake Congress? Moravian.
Gingrich?
Newt Gingrich is correct, and he was the Speaker of the House from Georgia. He was actually raised as a young kid in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, so about an hour and a half away. For your bonus, what grandchild of Helios killed her 2 children by her ex-husband, Jason?
Medea.
Medea is correct. Next toss-up question. What architect who designed the Museum of Islamic Art and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame used 673 Moravian?
Pei.
That is correct. I.M. Pei is the correct answer, and he used 673 glass panes to design the Louvre Pyramid. For your bonus, what British Prime Minister was criticized for his policy of appeasement towards Adolf Hitler?
Chamberlain.
Neville Chamberlain is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What mountain range contains the source of the Garonne River and the microstate of Andorra, which is sandwiched Moravian?
Pyrenees.
The Pyrenees Mountains is correct, and it's sandwiched Andorra between France and Spain. For your bonus, what quantity whose change is negative for a spontaneous reaction equals the change in enthalpy minus temperature times the change in enthalpy?
Gibbs free energy.
Gibbs free energy is correct. Next toss-up question. What reaction, which is undergone by a substance when it combusts, is contracted with reduction, and is it Emmaus?
Oxidation.
Oxidation is correct. For your bonus, what country's president, Alberto Fernandez, is a member of its Justicialist Party, and as was its former president, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner?
Peru.
That is incorrect. Argentina is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What island, where a civilization used Linear A script? Moravian.
Crete.
Crete is correct. For your bonus, what woman who starred with Chris Hemsworth in Men in Black International plays Valkyrie in the Thor series and Bianca Taylor in the Creed series?
Smith.
Incorrect. Tessa Thompson is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What desert, whose Paranal Observatory houses the Very Large Telescope, is the driest non-polar Moravian?
The Atacama.
The Atacama Desert is correct, and it is the driest non-polar desert on Earth due to a rain shadow caused by the Andes. For your bonus, the orchestral tune in the Hall of the Mountain King comes from what Norwegian composer's incidental music to the play Peer Gynt?
Yeah. Grieg.
Say it again.
Grieg.
That is correct. Edvard Grieg is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What species, whose scientific name is Dionea muscipula, is a plant that derives nutrients from bugs it captures when its leaves? Moravian.
Venus flytrap.
That is correct. It's when its leaves close over prey. For your bonus, in George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion, Henry Higgins makes a bet that he can turn what Cockney flower girl into a lady fit for upper-class society?
Sharon.
Incorrect. Eliza Doolittle is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What instrument that creates a melody through a cantor and a constant harmony through drones has a great Highland variety used in Scotland? Moravian.
Bagpipes.
Bagpipes is correct. And for your bonus, in 1780, what British major who collaborated with Benedict Arnold in plotting to betray West Point to the British was hanged in New York?
Andre.
John Andre is the correct answer. Next toss-up. In 2023, Hamish Harding was en route to what specific site when he died, along with the CEO of OceanGate, aboard a Moravian?
The wreck of the Titanic.
That is correct, and they were aboard a submersible that imploded. For your bonus, what object discovered in 1801 is the largest object in the asteroid belt?
Yeah. Ceres.
Ceres is correct. And with that, we have reached our first lightning round. In a pre-match coin toss, it was determined that Moravian will get to pick from the following topics. Your topics to select from are sharks or presidents at war. Presidents at War? Okay, so we didn't watch Shark Week this week. We don't feel confident or when Shark Week aired. All right, Moravian, your topic is presidents at war. Name the U.S. presidents who led the U.S. into these conflicts. World War I.
Wilson.
Correct. World War II.
Roosevelt.
Correct. The Spanish-American War.
Yeah.
Roosevelt.
Incorrect. The War of 1812.
Madison.
Correct. The Mexican-American War.
Polk.
Oak.
Correct. The Quasi-War.
Adams.
Correct. The Korean War.
Eisenhower.
Incorrect. The Bosnian War.
Clinton.
Correct. The invasion of Grenada.
Reagan.
Correct. The First Barbary War.
Jefferson.
Correct. On to Emmaus, so hopefully you watched Shark Week this week. Your topic is sharks. Answer the following about sharks. Most massive shark species named for the largest mammal.
Great white shark.
That is incorrect. Shark organ that contains buoyant oil and makes bile.
Liver.
That is correct. Flexible material making up a shark's skeleton.
Cartilage.
Correct. Triangle-shaped fin on a shark's backside.
Dorsal.
Correct. Structures sharks constantly replace, while humans only grow 2 sets.
Teeth.
Correct. Flattened shark relative with eagle and manta species.
Ray.
Say it again.
Ray.
That is correct. Relative of the great white that grew up to 60 feet long.
Whale shark.
That is incorrect. Number of chambers in the heart of sharks and most fish.
2.
Correct. Fish that hitches rides by suckering their heads onto sharks. You can pass if you don't know.
Pass.
One carbon organic compound that sharks use to eliminate excess nitrogen.
Pass.
Urea is the correct answer to the last one. All right, we'll continue on with the following toss-up question. What popular programming language, created by Guido van Rossum, uses white space indentation to delimit blocks and shares its name with a reptile? Moravian.
Python.
Python is correct. For your bonus, what African country is building the iconic tower in its new administrative capital, whose construction began under President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi?
Egypt.
Egypt is correct. Next toss-up question. What country, home to Nobel laureates Alice Balyatsky and Svetlana Alexievich, is a former Soviet state ruled since 1994 by Alexander Lukashenko? Moravian.
Belarus.
Belarus is correct. For your bonus, in what decade, when the Black Monday crash caused the Dow Jones to lose 23% of its value, did a president implement trickle-down economics?
80s.
The 1980s is correct. Next toss-up question. What art form, whose performers may sport colorful, bold stripe kumadori makeup, is a hyper-stylized men's-only theater tradition from Japan? Moravian.
Kabuki.
Kabuki is correct. For your bonus, what collection of ancient texts, including the Sama, a compilation of chants and melodies, and the Rig, which contains hymns to deities such as Agni?
Vedas.
Vedas is correct. Next toss-up question. What author who depicted himself as Peter Martin in The Town and the City wrote about Carlo Marx, Dean Moriarty, and Sal Paradise in On the Road? Moravian.
Kubrick.
That is incorrect. It goes over to Emmaus. Emmaus, go ahead.
Faulkner.
That is also incorrect. Jack Kerouac is the author we're looking for. Next toss-up question. What class of rock makes up intrusions such as sills and includes rocks that are said to be intrusive if they form from Emmaus?
Igneous.
Igneous is correct, and that is if they form from cooling of magma. For your bonus, Lynn Margulis proposed what theory that double membrane organelles like mitochondria and chloroplasts originated as independent organisms?
Endosymbiotic theory.
That is correct. Next toss-up question. What woman, whose reputation was damaged by the affair of the diamond necklace, was the wife of Louis XVI and famously said, Moravian?
Marie Antoinette.
That is correct, and she famously said, let them eat cake. For your bonus, a group of pirates called the Vittel Brothers targeted what medieval league that built trading posts called Cautors and was led from Lubeck?
Hanseatic League.
The Hanseatic League is correct. Next toss-up question. What musical is the heavy-side layer reached after the song Memory is sung by Grizabella? Moravian.
Cats.
Cats is correct. For your bonus, the French word chèvre can refer to what animal or to a cheese made from its milk?
Yeah. Goat.
Goat is correct, and you could have guessed goat or cow. You know, we're pretty close either way. Where are you going to guess? And with that, we have reached the first halftime. We have a great match underway. Moravian Academy currently leads Emmaus 305-280. And now we'll have the students take a moment to introduce themselves with their first and last name, their grade level, and the answer to the following question. What is your favorite innovation of the last 50 years? So that would be from 1975 on to today. Charlene with Moravian Academy, we start with you.
Charlene Liu, 11th grade, and the washing machine.
That's a good one. Okay, Catherine.
Catherine Carolyn, 9th grade, and the modern point shoe.
All right, go ahead.
Nathaniel Schmidt, 11th grade, GPS.
Okay.
Tyler Shankweiler, 11th grade, modern prosthetics.
Excellent. All right, Emmaus High School, Colby, go ahead.
Colby Zhang, 12th grade, and the bidet.
Okay.
Daniel Whitmer, 12th grade, the Pazuki.
Okay.
Aiden Cannon, 12th grade, the ISS.
Okay.
Maxwell Zientara, 12th grade, the LK Easy H2O stainless steel water fountain.
All right. Is that the one that's refillable? So you
Yup.
can like fill up your water bottle and all that? All right, very good. At least the one that we have in my office, it gives you like how many water bottles were saved over time. So that's kind of a cool stat, way to show. Okay, with that, we'll continue on with the second half of the match with the following toss-up question. What author of How Much Land Does a Man Need wrote about an adulterous wife who throws herself under a train in the Russian novel
Tolstoy.
Tolstoy is correct. For your bonus, what acid with the molecular formula CH3COOH is responsible for the tart taste of vinegar?
Acetic acid.
Acetic acid is correct. Next toss-up question. What national park, which contains Hetchy Valley and the rock formations Half Dome and El Capitan? Moravian?
Yosemite.
That is correct, in El Capitan, and is in the Sierra Nevadas of California. For your bonus, the Eight Nation Alliance sought to put down what anti-imperialist rebellion in China, led by the Righteous and Harmonious Fists?
Boxer Rebellion.
The Boxer Rebellion is correct. Next toss-up question. What color, which names a revolution led by the ergonomist Norman Borlaug, also names a third party that nominated Ralph Nader for president? Moravian.
Green.
The Green or Green Party or Green Revolution are all correct answers to that question. For your bonus, playwright August Strindberg was born in what European country, which was also the homeland of Millennium Trilogy author Stieg Larsson?
Sweden.
Sweden is correct. Next toss-up. What astronomer who showed that a far-off galaxy's recessional speed, Emmaus?
Hubble.
Hubble is correct, is proportional to its distance, and he has a namesake telescope named after him. For your bonus, thalassemia can cause enlargement of what organ responsible for disposing of old red blood cells?
Kidneys. The spleen.
The spleen is correct. Next toss-up question. What physiologist who wrote the 1902 Lectures on the Work of the Digestive Glands demonstrated a conditioned reflex in his studies? Moravian.
Pavlov.
That is correct, and the conditional reflex is on his studies of salivating dogs. For your bonus, what animal, which may be named after the mother of the Hydra and consort of Typhon in Greek myth, is a spiny egg-laying mammal?
Echidna.
An echidna or a spiny anteater is correct. Next toss-up question. In what play does a character reveal that he was born by cesarean section, fulfill a prophecy? Moravian.
Macbeth.
Macbeth is correct. He fulfills a prophecy then made by three witches, and he kills the Scottish king. For your bonus, Tajikistan's eastern border is with what country, which contains the Talakubakan Desert and the southern portion of the Gobi Desert?
I think it's China. It's just China. Yeah. China.
China is correct. Next toss-up. What region, which names the world's largest and highest plateau, is home to the Potala Palace? Moravian.
Tibet.
Tibet is correct, and it was historically ruled by the Dalai Lama. For your bonus, in Judaism, 4 ritual questions are asked during what traditional meal at the start of Passover?
Seder.
Seder is correct. Next toss-up question. Operation Dynamo occurred during what 1940 battle that saw a fleet of little ships evacuate British troops who were trapped in northern France? Moravian.
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, or the Battle of Dunkirk, is correct, and they were trapped in northern France. For your bonus, what U.S. president was in office when 52 Americans were taken hostage in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran following the Iranian Revolution?
Carter.
Jimmy Carter is the correct answer. Next toss-up. What novel, whose protagonist is exiled to Umbatan after shooting? Moravian.
Things Fall Apart.
Things Fall Apart, and it is by Chinua Achebe. For your bonus, Snell's law incorporates 2 values for what dimensionless quantity, which represents how much a medium bends the path of light?
Refraction.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Linear refraction?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. What we were looking for was index or indices of refraction. And with that, we have reached the second lightning round. So for the second lightning round, Emmaus, you will get to pick from the following topics. We have English grammar or sevens, as in the number 7.
Sevens.
Sevens? All right, Emmaus, your topic is sevens. Give these answers that contain either the word or numeral 7. Vices that include sloth and gluttony.
7 sins.
That is correct. Group of liberal arts colleges including Mount Holyoke.
Pass.
1954 film directed by Akira Kurosawa.
7 Samurai.
That is correct. Conflict that included the French and Indian War.
7 Years' War.
That is correct. Boeing plane whose MAX 9 model was grounded in 2024.
Boeing 727.
That is incorrect. 1937 Disney animated film based on a fairy tale.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
That is correct. Nathaniel Hawthorne novel about a Salem residence, Salem residence.
Pass.
Christian denomination that observes a Saturday Sabbath.
Seventh-day Adventist.
That is correct. Board game featuring the Great Pyramid and Colossus of Rhodes.
7 Wonders of the Ancient World.
You know what, we'll take that. It was 7 Wonders of the Ancient World. We'll take that. And now over to Moravian Academy. Your topic is English grammar. Answer the following about grammar concepts in English. Part of speech of the word between.
Preposition.
Correct. Punctuation mark that may splice clauses incorrectly.
Comma.
Correct. Base form of a verb, such as to reach.
Infinitive.
Correct. Process of inflecting a verb.
Accent.
Intonation.
That is, both of those are incorrect. Grammatical mood used to state facts.
Pass.
Elements such as ish that can be added to the end of a word. That is correct. Process that is doubled in the phrase don't got no time.
Negative.
Correct. Definitive article in English.
The.
Correct. Greatest degree version of an adjective, such as worst.
Pass.
What S stands for in SVO word order?
Subject.
That is correct for subject, verb, object. And we'll start the final quarter of the match with the following toss-up question. What word derives from the Slavic term for labor, was introduced, go ahead Moravian.
Slave.
That is incorrect. I'll continue the question for Emmaus. Was introduced by Karel Čapek in the play RUR and refers to a machine such as an android. Emmaus.
Robot.
A robot is correct. For your bonus, what author wrote about a ship whose deck was once red with heroes' blood in a poem about the USS Constitution titled Old Ironsides?
Whitman.
That is incorrect. Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What element whose halide salts were traditionally used in developing photographs was called argentium in Latin? Moravian.
Silver.
Silver is correct, and it has its atomic symbol as Ag because of argentium in Latin. For your bonus, what televangelist was criticized in 2017 for not housing victims of Hurricane Harvey at Lakewood Church, his megachurch in Houston?
Osteen.
Joel Osteen is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What author of the autobiography Long Walk to Freedom was released in 1990 from Robben Island Prison? Moravian.
Mandela.
Nelson Mandela is the correct answer, and he went on to become the president of South Africa. For your bonus, chordata and arthropoda are examples of what taxonomic groups higher than classes?
Phylums.
Phylums is correct. Next toss-up question. What author who wrote about Ted Williams' final game in Hub Fans Bid Kid Adieu depicted the salaryman Harry Angstrom in such novels as Rabbit Run? Moravian.
Lewis?
That's incorrect. Over to Emmaus, you have a little bit of time, but no conferring. Go ahead, Emmaus.
Smith.
That's also incorrect. John Updike is the correct answer. Next toss-up question. What Democratic politician who defeated Mehmet Oz in a 2022 Moravian?
Fetterman?
John Fetterman is correct, and he is the junior senator from Pennsylvania. For your bonus, what country was led by Francisco Solano Lopez and lost up to 90% of its male population during the War of the Triple Alliance in the 1860s?
Paraguay?
Paraguay is the correct answer. The next toss-up question is in math. Pencil and paper ready. What is the area of a circle whose diameter is 18, given that the area, Emmaus?
81 pi.
81 pi is correct. For your bonus, in March 2024, the stock price of Krispy Kreme rose 40% after it was announced plans to sell its donuts at branches of what fast food chain?
McDonald's.
McDonald's is correct, and that's news to me. I had no idea you can get a Krispy Kreme at McDonald's. Next toss-up question. What name, which identifies a figurine of Willendorf that is tens of thousands of years old, is shared by the Roman Moravian?
Venus?
Venus is correct, and is shared by the Roman goddess of love and is also a planet. For your bonus, Italian artist Artemius Gentileschi depicted what biblical woman slaying the Assyrian general Holofernes?
Judith?
Judith is correct. Next toss-up question. What country's men's soccer team, which is coached by Roberto Martinez, has featured players Romelu Lukaku and Moravian?
Belgium?
Belgium is correct, and they also feature Eden Hazard. They play their home games in Brussels. For your bonus, a mammoth national monument is in what Texas city on the Brazos River, which is home of Baylor University?
Waco?
That is correct. Baylor is based in Waco, Texas. The next toss-up question is in math. Pencil and paper ready. What integer equals the product of the first three prime numbers, given that the first, Moravian?
12.
That is incorrect, and unfortunately we are out of time. The correct answer though, Aiden, just for the nerd cred, what would it be? 30 is correct, but unfortunately no points for that. And that is the end of our match. Congratulations to Moravian Academy. You're on to the second round with a score of 575 to Emmaus High School's 155. Emmaus, good luck with the rest of your school year. We will see you next week when Gariff High School faces off against Catasauqua High School.
Since 2006, the Temple St. Luke's School of Medicine has focused on cultivating local talent, with more than a third of our graduates continuing their training at St. Luke's or now working as attending physicians for our network. Learn more at souhn.org/SOM.